Welcome to Mary Walter Radio, the podcast, the post-inaugural edition. How is everyone today? Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you join me. I appreciate that. I still hear music. Do I still hear music? It should be gone. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Christine is having camera problems. She just texted me. Camera's having a problem. Yes, her camera is having a problem. So we'll wait till I get a picture of Christine and then we'll bring her in. I hope everyone is ready to talk about the inauguration. I want to talk about what Melania had to wear, what Usha Vance had to wear. I want to talk about all of that. And also we'll talk about what has happened since then, the pardons, etc. We'll talk about that as well too. So let's see who is here. Oreo is here. Hello to those who shall enter. Oreo is in the house. Bill is here. Watching your back here. Oreo says, I love that music. I feel like I'm in a space of no return, just drifting. Let me get the name of that. It's one of those free things. Acoustic Cinematic. That's one of those free audios I can use because I also have Ron's, what Ron Squeaky has given me, but I don't want to just keep using those. I want to kind of like space those out a little bit. So I'm gonna save some of those to use. All right, who else is here? Now Tax USA, happy Trump year. We got almost everything we wanted except no income taxes. Hello to all. Mayor, you looked marvelous at the ball. Well, thank you so much. Porch View says, I love that hat. Yes, I loved the hat. Gregory, happy Liberation Day. Yes, people. Yes. Also, I would like to, we okay? Just bring down your light. Can you come down more? More on my light? I lowered it already. I just look redder. I just look really red now, see?
Okay, go
Okay, all right.
Go for it. Sorry.
My IT department said go up on the light. Okay. So I just want to thank Sherry, our new subscriber, Sherry. Yay! Goalie by Al just subscribed. Michael says, heard you on the Brian K show. Very interesting take on things. Loves the podcast. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Well, here's Christine's face. Let's see how this goes. Can you hear me, ma'am? I don't know if she can hear me. Clearly she cannot. Okay. So we'll wait for her. We'll wait for Christine to work out the issues that she has. At least this week, it's not me, it's her. If you have not done so, please subscribe to the channel. Do appreciate that. Please, if you go back and watch any of the videos on YouTube, please like them. I appreciate that. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Spreaker, again, please like the podcasts. That's really super important. Don't forget, I got the podcast from last week with Mike McCormick, that crazy podcast, which by the way, I just want to go back to that real quick. Remember when he said that Joe Biden, now, if you missed it, you got to go back and watch it. It was a crazy podcast. We had a gentleman on named Mike McCormick. He is an author, and his last book was The Case to Impeach Joe Biden. And he has a new one coming out February 2nd on the connection between the church and the left and the progressives around the world. So it's crazy, but he was Joe Biden's stenographer for something like 9 years. And he heard a lot of things, saw a lot of things. He even offered to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee. But he said Joe Biden is not a nice guy. Like, he's inherently an egomaniac, and he is mean, and he is all about power. And that is all I could think about when I heard about the pardons yesterday, was what Mike told us last Tuesday on the podcast. That's all I could think about, was what he told us about what a horrible, nasty person Joe Biden is, and he's inherently just mean. I thought, oh my gosh, yes, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he just did to the country with the whole pardon thing. I mean, now Trump can pardon his entire family. He can pardon anyone who worked in his administration on his way out the door and say, oh, well, see ya, and walk out. That's a very dangerous precedent, he said. But so we'll talk about that coming up. But that's all I could think about. But that podcast is still up. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't listened to it, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do, because it was crazy. If you are over on Getter, I can take your comments. If you write anything in, if you type anything, if you leave a comment, I can read it. I won't go up on the screen, but I can read it, so I can at least get to you that way. Okay. Here she is. Here she is. Hello.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's okay.
sorry.
I don't know what happened. I'm pressing all these different buttons. I'm like, well, I heard you, and I was actually speaking to my phone. I'm like, I'm here, Mary. I'm here. But you know, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, has it made
Yeah.
sound? No.
I think you have to raise your audio a little bit. Is she really low?
Let me try. Hold
I
on.
think you have to raise your audio just a little bit. Make yourself a little louder.
Let me do this. Hold on. Got to take the glasses off to check this one out. Mike, more. Hmm.
You sound good? You sound okay?
Can you hear it all?
Yeah, I can hear you. It just sounded really low. That's all.
Okay. Here we go. I'm getting closer to the phone so you guys can hear me.
Okay. Okay. Oh, look what hubby brought me down.
By the way, you cut such a dashing figure, both of you. I want your fans and followers to know what I texted to you and what I tweeted at you when you said, "Are you coming on for the post inaugural show?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm never going to appear next to you again. You are gorgeous. You are
Oh,
glam.
God.
You are beautiful, and I
Oh,
ain't doing it."
stop.
And then I texted afterwards and I said, "But yes, I'm free."
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm going to share some of the pictures from the party that we went to. It was not a ball, okay? It was a gala. It
Hmm.
was Newsmax's gala,
It was
and I was
nice.
kind of I'm kind of glad that it was not a ball that because you didn't have to do the long gown thing, and with all of the street closures, and we were on Constitution Avenue across from the Smithsonian, a
Hmm.
block and a half from the south lawn of the White House. So we were in the area that was getting locked down. It hadn't been locked down yet, but getting there was tough. But I'll tell you all about that because it was such an adventure even trying to get there. I got to go this way. It's crooked on my head. Um, but it was so insane because there was such a vibe in DC, so different from last time. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
should I share the pictures now and then we'll go into it? Suze is here. Oreo, Manglebush is here. Woot woot. That's right. Watching your back. Hey, Christine. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh my. Okay. Last time we derailed the entire conversation about the Eagles. So just at this one moment, I'm going to make one statement about this. Mary, I almost got evicted from my condo because I am on a long hallway with a lot of people next to me. In the last 5 minutes of that game, I screamed so loudly. It was like, and this is going to sound really, inappropriate, but I sound like Kitty Genovese getting killed in a hallway somewhere in New York. No one
Girl.
ventured. I know it's horrible. I screamed. I screamed. I screamed. When Saquon got that last touchdown, it was like, ah! And then the person next to me was banging on the wall. And it was more like, it wasn't, "Are you okay?" It was, "Shut the F up." And, so, but we're in it. We're in the Final Four, and we're playing the team that can't remember its actual name. So I'm very excited.
I know that's I can't believe that. Well, I'll tell you the reason that's important right now because let me bring this up. There's my girl Rhoda. We went,
Woo!
yes, we went down on Saturday, and I'm really glad we went down on Saturday instead of Sunday because we got to take Rhoda out to dinner, which made me super happy, and her son Stuart. So there's Rhoda. That was our second glass of prosecco. My 93-year-old Rhoda, she loves her prosecco. God love her. And
Gorgeous.
I said to her, I said, we're waiting, and my husband was on. He had to take a phone call, and so I'm sitting there with Rhoda and her son Stuart, and Stuart's very protective of his mom. And I said, Rhoda, would you like anything else? No, no, no. We had dessert, and I said, well, would you like another glass of prosecco? And Stuart pipes in and goes, no, she doesn't. No, she will not have a second glass of prosecco. She does not need a second glass of prosecco. And I looked right at her. I go, Rhoda, would you like a second glass of prosecco? And she just said to me, she looks at her son. She looks at me. She goes, well, are you going to? And I said, yes. So she goes, okay, I'll have one.
For her, a woman with her
Yeah.
own mind. You know,
Yes.
if
Yes.
my brothers ever tried to tell my mother what to drink or what to eat, there would be a whooping in the house. No,
You
absolutely.
know
I
what?
love Rhoda.
She's 93 years old. Even if she becomes a raging alcoholic at this point in her life, is it going to kill her early? Right? Like she's not going to
Exactly.
die early. She's 93.
That was like my Nana, my father's grandmother, who, I mean, she lived almost to 100, and she had all these, typical vices of a woman her vintage. And people would say, oh, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't do that. And she would say the exact same thing. She said, you know what? I got a couple of years before I make it to the pearly gates, and I'm going to enjoy myself. And
Right.
God bless her, she did.
Yep. Yep. My grandfather used to say that to me too. He used to say, "Dear Lord, Mary Eileen, I'm not going to die young." I was like, okay. Good point. Just one quick thing here. Porchview Farm, congratulations. Wait. I got to bring it over here. Porchview Farms Buckeyes won last night. So congratulations. Congratulations to you. Oreo says, welcome back, Christine. And also says, now if we can only get the Browns in the Super Bowl. So there you
I
go.
I truly feel badly for the Browns, for the Bills. I mean, the Bills have a shot this year. I was feeling bad about the Lions, but they were given two really good shots and they kind of blew it. So they
Yeah.
did themselves in to lose to the team that has a weird name. I mean, come on. That's I'm sorry, but I feel for the Browns. And
Well,
you know,
Rhoda, the reason I'm glad we went into this is Rhoda's a big Redskins fan, Washington Commanders or the Washington team, whatever the hell their
Redskins.
name is, whatever the hell their name is. She's a big fan.
She must
And
be thrilled. She must be absolutely thrilled.
she actually watched the entire game and she was very proud because she didn't fall asleep.
God bless her.
So
I
I
hope I'm
know.
like that when I hit Rhoda's age. Absolutely, which is in exactly 30 years. I
Yeah.
hope I'm around that long, rooting for my birds at the age of 93, slugging down prosecco.
There you exactly. So, all right, so we did this on Sunday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday we were supposed to get 4 inches of snow in DC. So we didn't know how we were going to get in, how we are going to get out because they had the road closings. So everybody's telling us to take the metro, and then we see that the metro was shutting down at 8 o'clock, and
Oh
our
God.
event was over at 9 o'clock because they were so we were like, oh, we can't take the subway home. How we can't take metro home? How are we going to get back? And we were staying in Chevy Chase, Maryland, where my apartment used to be. So you can't walk it. I mean, you could, but it would take a really long time.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to walk it. So, and once you leave the protected area, you take your life in your hands. So there was that. So Michael Reagan hooked us up with his driver. This guy, Ahmed, he goes, oh, he's great. He used to drive me and my family all the time when I was in DC. Anytime I'm in DC, I have Ahmed drive me. So I'm like, okay, this is better than just trying to get an Uber. Trying to get an Uber out is going to be impossible, right? It's going to be crazy.
It's going to
And
cost you
our
hundreds of dollars.
Right, and it was going to be ridiculous. Well, this cost me hundreds of dollars, but
Uh,
I knew I would have Ahmed like to drive us in and drive us out, right? And I had to
yeah.
pay, and then he hung out, and I paid him wait time. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. And then I see it's gonna snow. I'm like, DC in the snow, we're not gonna get in anywhere. We're not even gonna get in. This is gonna be a waste of time. Well, it doesn't snow. I mean, it snowed a little tiny bit, but it really didn't snow. So that was good. But it was so insanely cold. It was so cold, crazy cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We had a high of 20 degrees today in Philly. If you saw any part of that game, which I'm sure you didn't, between the Eagles and the Rams, it was like a snow globe. The last quarter visibility was impossible. So
oh,
we
you
did
guys got the
actually get snow.
snow.
We did. We got,
Yeah.
I think we got up to, I mean, in the city itself, we got maybe 2 to 3 inches, but outside where my family lives in Delaware County, they
Yeah.
got close to 5 inches of snow, and it was the
Wow.
fluffy kind. It wasn't the kind that is packed in. It was a lot of snow, so it was nice, but it wasn't great for football playing. Not at all.
Right. Well, so it's really cold. So Ahmed, great guy,
Ahmed.
really good on the phone, a little rough with texting. So, and he's older. I couldn't figure out how old he was. I got the feeling like, do you know somebody who just gives you the feeling like they're older probably than he actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was one of those. Nicest guy ever. If you ever go to Washington, D.C., I would highly, highly, highly recommend him to drive you if you need to go somewhere. Fantastic. But anyway, so he comes, he picks us up. we're ready to go. And I didn't have to do the gown thing. So I just had on, black velvet pants with a black velvet top with some black fur and
Oh,
black
so
my
classy.
black velvet pumps. I wore those and off we go. Okay. So Ahmad was great getting us in, and he's not paying an ounce of attention to the GPS. It's telling him turn here, and I'm like, oh, that was our turn, and then we're going like okay. And he's just talking, and all he's telling us about all the famous people he drove because he's very good friends with Mike Reagan, and he goes, oh, you're a friend of Mike's, oh, you're a friend of mine, so he's telling us all this stuff. So his license plate is 007, 007. And when he was a cabbie in Washington, D.C., his family emigrated to the U.S. when he's from Afghanistan, when Afghanistan
Yeah.
fell,
Oh,
right?
back in the
So
mean like the most recent time or years before, like back in the
probably before
1990s.
that, but probably before that because he was a kid.
Yes.
And his uncle is or was and the ambassador to Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
And there's like he's shown us pictures of him with Karzai. And then he's telling us how he used to drive all these Secret Service guys, and he's got pictures of him with Ted Koppel and all these people,
Ooh.
right? And he's driving all these people. He's telling me all these stories. So like, this guy's full of it, right? So I start looking him up. He goes, oh, yes, Washington posted a story on me, the best driver, most famous driver, 007, because his cabbie license was number 007. So
Yes.
he got a license plate that was 007. The license plate on his car that he drives you in is 007.
That's
So
that's
he
great.
says, everyone knows 007. I get you there. So we're like, okay. So we're driving through DC and we're stuck in this traffic. And he goes to make a left hand turn. He says, screw it. He just pulls a Yui right in the middle of the street. He just pulls a Yui.
Screw it.
He
Screw it.
goes up. He wants to go down this one street to try to get to Constitution Avenue, try to get south, and everything's blocked off. And so it didn't have the Jersey barriers, but it had like a gate, like an area where you could go through. And this National Guardsman stops him and he goes, sir, do you have a pass? And Ahmad looks at him. He rolls down his window. He goes, do you not know who I am? Did you not see the license plate? I am 007. And the guy looks at him, just starts laughing. He goes, hey, man, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, oh my God. You were with a famous person.
It's like, holy crap.
That's
He
amazing.
dropped us off right in front of the venue, and the cops let him sit there.
I love it. Do you not know who I am? I am 007.
Did you not see my license plate? I am 007.
I am a famous person. I drive famous people, but I am famous too.
And the
And
National Guard guy was like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. Go ahead." So
oh
my
my
husband and I
God,
were
they
like, "Oh my God!"
apologized to Ahmed. That's
They
great.
apologized to him. So
That's
we get down, he drops us off, and he tells us, I'm just sitting out front when you're ready to go. And it was started at 6, it was over at 9, which is great because it started before all the big events and it ended before the big events. And it was ending at 9. Constitution Avenue was closing at 10.
Mhm.
So 9 o'clock rolls around, we're ready to go. I was going to give my friend Chris Plant a ride because we were going to go right by his place. I said, oh, Chris will give you a ride, so you don't have to try to get an Uber. Great. And I text him out. I'm like, hey, we're ready to go. He texts me back. He goes, they made me move. Through the phone calls, I find out they made him move because they closed Constitution Avenue at
Ooh.
9 instead of 10.
Oh,
So
oh. So where was
all
he?
these he had to drive around. So he was over 395, 360, wherever he was, and he wanted us to walk. I'm like, and I'm like, my husband's looking at his phone. He's like, that's like a mile and a half away. We can't do that. And I'm in heels, right? So I can't do that.
He wanted you
So
to walk a mile and a half?
no, well, that's where he was. He goes, don't worry. I get there. I get there. I get there. You just stay. And a lot of people were just hanging out because people were trying to figure out how the hell to get home now because you couldn't, Constitution Avenue was totally shut down because we were a block and a half from the White House. So it's all shut down. So finally he tells us he's on Constitution Ave on 18th and we were like 13th. So we had to walk down. So that was so. Let me tell you. Let
In
me
your
see if
high
I got
heels.
in my high heels. Let me see if I have this right. So that's us when we were getting ready to leave the
Woo!
hotel
That's the
to go.
picture where I said, I am not appearing next to you. People, look at how gorgeous this girl is. Look
That's
at
wait.
her.
I cheated. I had Glam Squad come to the hotel and do my makeup. I did my own hair, but they did my makeup.
You
So
have to have a good foundation to work with in order to end up with that. I mean, you could do all the spackle in the world on Ruth Buzzy and she would still look like Ruth Buzzy. So, honey,
you, honey, you should try them sometime. They're amazing. If you have someplace to go, Glam Squad is awesome. And Tanya came to the door and she, in less than an hour, she turned this into that. So it's crazy. All right. So we get there and then they have the whole thing where you get your picture taken, the whole bit. So they're up, yep. So that's that. And then you go inside and it was at the Mellon Auditorium,
Mhm.
which was where the crypto ball was the night before.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's just this huge room. And so they had huge bars. You never waited for a drink. They had really nice setups for, they had places to sit. They had the food stations, which were it was really just like antipasto, lots of cheeses, that type of stuff,
Ah,
but you did not go hungry. They had a whole spread for desserts. Um, it
it
was
sounds
it
like
was
the
nice.
cocktail hour at an Italian wedding, basically. That's
Exactly,
which is
exactly.
the best place to be. That's
So there
neat.
we are.
So did you see all of your buddies from Newsmax? Where you
I
you got to
not
see
Not
really?
all of them. I got to see some. So this was supposed to be to over here, like over on this section over here where the flag is, right
Mhm.
above it. You can kind of see where it says Newsmax. So we asked the bartender to get the picture with the flag
Yeah.
over that way, and that's the way we were originally. And he just kept shooting off to the left, and then so he didn't get the Newsmax sign, but it's close enough.
I think I don't know if you posted it or somebody else did, but I did see clips from the Newsmax party. And I saw the Newsmax sign. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was on Twitter or what, but that looked like it was a real happening, party. It looked like one that I would have loved to have been at. It just seemed like people seemed happier. They weren't, it was
You
people who
know,
were there to see each other and not be seen. You know what I mean? I liked
yeah,
it.
it was very much like that. And Gregory says that whole Newsmax thing was broadcast. They had many, many interviews with the shindig as the background. Yeah. So where we're standing, that was almost in front of us.
Mhm.
And my cousin texts me and he got a screenshot of me behind whoever, I think Carl Higbee was on stage, me behind him at the bar. And he's like, look, Mary Eileen was there. And,
Mary
and
Eileen.
he puts it on the family text with my cousins. He puts it on there. He's like, so one of my cousins like, of course she's at the bar. And my brother's like, well, at least she's not. My brother's like, hey, for at least once she's not on the bar. I was like, great, thank you. And he took a screenshot. I'm like, how did you see me? I couldn't believe it. Let's
So
see.
great.
Here you go.
Loving
Oh,
family.
that started right away.
That's a
I
great
don't know
shot.
how to
That
stop
flag.
this. There it is.
That's so great. You had a crowd there. How many people were there about? Who's on stage? Is that Lee Greenwood? No, who's that?
Uh, so that was Lee Greenwood.
It was Lee Greenwood. Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't know that Chris Ruddy got up. But see, there's the Newsmax thing that we were trying to get in the picture. There's the Newsmax thing above that.
Yeah.
So the only thing Chris Ruddy came up, who is like the big guy at Newsmax,
Yeah.
and he says, just want to say a couple words. It was very short. And he goes, and there's only one other thing. And he introduced Lee Greenwood, and nobody knew he was going to be there. He came out, I don't know how much that man got paid. He came out, sang that song. So he was there, what, 2 minutes? Turned
Uh-huh.
around, beat feet, and left, and that was it. I was like, man, he is racking it in because he's making haste while the sun shines there.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great song, but I like it a lot. I happen to prefer, God rest in peace, Toby Keith's,
Oh,
thank God. What is it? Oh God. Now I can't remember the actual title of the song. Um, you know, the USA song that he used to sing. That's my favorite patriotic song. The one that everybody called jingoistic and, battle cry. But Toby
oh,
Keith song, I'm sure
oh
you
yeah, because we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American
We'll
way,
put
and
a
Uncle Sam
boot
put
in
you.
your ass.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
American way. I'm
Uncle
sure
Sam.
your guys in the responses can give me the actual title to the song.
Yeah. Is that the Proud American? I think it's the title of it. I think that may be it.
The proud American,
I
yeah,
think that
or
may
the
be it.
angry American, or
Angry
something like that.
American, maybe, yeah. So there's Seth Denson. Seth, I saw him. I appeared on Newsmax a bunch of times with him, but we've never met in person.
Nice.
So, and I hung my husband's Trump hat on my sling so that people would see me and not bump into me.
Well, I'm sure that there were a lot of people. I mean, that was you were simpatico with a lot of people there, right? I mean, there
What do you
weren't
mean?
any anti-Trump people at this party, were there?
No, no, no. You couldn't see my sling because it blended in with my outfit.
Oh, that's right. Your sling. I heard what you were saying. Oh my God, that's right. I don't
So
know.
I
You
didn't.
look very elegant. You did. You blended like Marissa
Well,
Tomei.
that's why I wore black so you couldn't see it. So but anyway. And then this is just a look at the auditorium. They did a nice job.
I
So
love this party. I think that you guys had more fun than the what was it, the Liberty Ball, or whatever the other one that Trump appeared at. I mean, this looks like a true Washington party, from the old days with Pearl Mesta. This looks like a real Washington kind of feel to it.
it was the Liberty Ball and all of those, they had like 10,000 people at them. It was
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah.
And
This
I
is more
thought this
intimate.
crowded. This got really crowded because towards the end of the night, um, Giuliani showed up. By the way, Rudy Giuliani almost killed my husband. He came through the crowd, and it wasn't like packed, but it was getting kind of packed. He comes barreling through with his entourage, boom, right into my husband, almost knocked him over. And and he goes, and I'm walking, and he goes, and he tells me, he goes, Rudy Giuliani almost killed me. I'm like, oh, maybe we should sue him. And I'm like, yeah, he doesn't have anything left.
He has
Not worth
no
it.
money.
Has
Has
no
nothing
money.
left. Try getting money out of that stone.
I,
Oh God.
okay, not that many more. Oh, you know who that? So you see who that is?
Oh my God. Blagojevich?
Yes,
Oh my God. That's great.
Rod
Look at
Blagojevich, and
that
he's still got a
face.
great head of hair.
That's how I recognized him. I looked
Yeah,
at the hair. I said, that's
yeah,
Blagojevich or Marco Rubio. It's
yeah.
Blagojevich.
Ted Cruz
Wow.
was there too. I got a picture of Ted Cruz with my friend Rita. But he was there, and
I would have
um,
loved to have met Ted Cruz. I
Ryan
love
Zink. You know what though? I Everybody was around Ted Cruz. I love Ryan Zinke, and he came in as we were leaving. He was late to the party, but he just walked in. Ryan Zinke is hilarious and takes no crap whatsoever and just says whatever he feels like, and I adore him for that.
good for him.
I Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I really like him,
I
but he got there
posted
too late.
something about talking about not taking any guff. I posted something on social media with an old clip from Joan Rivers, who was being interviewed by Frederica Whitfield on CNN. And Frederica was just being really mean spirited, but smiling her way through this interview,
No.
which was really like sticking the knives in Joan. And Joan basically just said, you know what? I'm done. You're attacking me. And she left in the middle of the interview. And I'm like, yeah, that is me this year. I don't give a flying crapool what you think. And if I offend you, I don't care. It's 2025 and I'm saying what I want to say, and let the chips fall where they may. So good for Ryan Zinke and Joan Rivers and us.
Yep, absolutely. Porchview Farm says, Christine, I did see you. I knew it was you. RSBN was panning the crowd, and I knew I saw you. I don't know where.
Me?
Were you at a game? Were you at the Eagles game?
I I I was at the game, but you saw me at the game? Really? Really?
Porchview, did you see her at the game?
At the Eagles game on
Yeah,
TV?
I don't know. That's what she's saying on RSBN.
I was on my
Isn't that Right Side Broadcasting News or Right Side Broadcasting Network? Isn't that what that is? Isn't that what RSBN stands for?
I have no idea because I don't think I've ever been
So
on.
confused. All right, well,
I'm not
clarify that for
sure.
us.
But yeah.
Okay, and
But thank
oh
you.
no, there's one more after this. This is Caleb Park from Newsmax. And I used to work with him when he was out with Todd Starnes. And then I forgot to load the picture of Rita Cosby. Rita Cosby is an amazing woman. You would love her. I don't know if you've ever met her, but she's amazing.
I haven't, but I love her. I used to follow her
Love
on
her.
guys. You just look fabulous, Mary. You really
Thank
do.
you. Thank you so much. It's all the good lighting too. Bright lights and professional makeup It's a girl's best
Stop,
friend.
stop the humility. You're
So that
absolutely
and we
stupid.
got the Newsmax sign behind us. See, we got the Newsmax thing with the flag. We got it. Uh,
Finally.
and and then so on our way home, as I'm freezing, I was so cold walking. I was like, I cannot believe I have to walk to 18th from here. And there is ice and snow and well, there was no water, but so I've got an arm in a sling and I can't pull my jacket all the way. I can't button it because I got the sling on, right? So I can't button my coat. So I'm trying to hold it. I didn't have gloves because I thought I was just jumping out of the car and jumping in the car. No gloves. I'm holding it. I'm trying to hold my coat closed. My husband's got my arm because he didn't want me to fall. Because if I fall, now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And just in heels. And I kid you not, I had wound up with 3 blisters on my feet. So I wound up with that from walking in the heels the whole way. But it was very cool because at first I'm like, we're gonna die. And then my husband's like, do you literally see the military in the streets? I don't think we're gonna die. I was like, oh, that's a good point. And so we were just walking, and there were some people outside the White House, outside the South Lawn, and I was just like, "Oh, you're at the wrong gate," but okay. And no one's gonna notice you here, but you do you. And it was so cold. I was so frozen. My feet were blocks of ice, but it was eerie because it was quiet because there's no cars on the street, right?
Mhm.
So, but yet it was safe. So it was really cool. We kind of like you almost felt like you had the city to yourself. So as we were walking, the White House this was first on our left, and
Oh,
there's not a
gorgeous.
car on the street. There's nobody. It was just absolutely beautiful. It was stunning.
You know, you,
So
you said something earlier when we were starting this out, and you said that the feeling was completely different from the
yeah.
last time. What did you mean by that? I'm really, did you mean like the feeling, as you just explained, that there weren't people there, or that people were really happy and they weren't surprised like they were the last time that this happened?
I think I think this time the feeling is that people were not so upset about it being Trump. You know what I mean?
So you mean the opposition wasn't as fierce? They were more kind of resigned to the fact that 4 more years of Trump.
Yeah, I just think that that's exactly what it was. I hope I can oh, there we go. So I think that's exactly what it was. That people were just accepting of the fact that Donald Trump was our president this time. You didn't have, the yelling, insane, crazy women running through the streets. Like they had a march, but they wanted 50,000. They got something like 1,000, right? There's more of an acceptance, or maybe I think the left has outrage fatigue. They've spent the
Yeah.
last 4 years being outraged at absolutely everything. We were in the lobby of the hotel, and we just stayed at a courtyard by Marriott, and I stay there all the time if I go down to there because it's 2 blocks from where I had my apartment. So I'm near my rota, and everybody's like, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing?" Like there was everybody was happy. There was a conference on one of the floors, and my husband had his "Make America Great Again" hat on, and he goes, "Oh, these young girls." There's like 5 of them, and I had to walk by them outside, and he comes back around. He's got his hat on, and he suddenly goes, "Hi, how you doing?" He goes, "Hey, how you doing? Have a good night." And they went,
Well,
I
well,
just, but
they
for
said
the
that they
most
told
part,
him.
right,
They showed him.
right, but for the most part, like people on the streets of DC, black, white, Asian, whatever, everybody, there was like this feeling of, I don't want to say euphoria, but excitement. People are
Yeah.
excited. Like they were actually excited about politics. There was an excitement about, what was to come. It was, people who went to the Capitol Center to go watch the inauguration last night. They were in line at like 6 a.m. Now we were offered tickets for seats at the inauguration. Now, not behind the thing, like we would have had seats, but they weren't close. Like you get seats, but
Yeah.
they're further back. And I had turned them down because we discussed it. I was just like, we have the room until Monday. We're gonna have to pack the car. We're gonna have to drive into the district. We're gonna have to find a place to park, or we're gonna have to take the metro. And I didn't know what was gonna be open or not open, or we're gonna take whatever. And then we're gonna have to sit in the cold. And I did not at the time didn't know how cold it was gonna be. And I
Mhm.
was like, I just don't. Do you want to fight the crowds? Because got to go through security, right? You got to go through all that.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, we get there about 6. I'm like, in the morning. So we
What
decided
time was the actual swearing in? I worked all day. I actually didn't see it until night when I had DVR'd everything. But what time was the actual swearing in?
the actual swearing in was at noon because we had to be out of the hotel room at noon. And I
Uh-huh.
called downstairs to see if they were going to have the TV on. I said, "Are you going to have the TV on?" And downstairs in the lobby, she goes, "Oh, no, it's not on because it's only on in the bar and food and beverages in here and it doesn't open." I go, "Well, it's the inauguration of the president. You think you could turn it on?" Hold on, let
That
me see if I can get permission, you know.
that's really
Uh,
stupid in DC, or in Chevy Chase or wherever you were. I mean, that's really stupid.
she answers the hotel phone. You know, you guys, she's got, there's a chain of command apparently. But anyway, long story short, they put it on. So it was noon.
Well, I will, to get to circle back, Jen
Yeah.
Sasha, what you were saying before about the dissent. First of all, there was an article in the New York Times today about that whole thing that you said, that there was outrage fatigue, and a
Yeah.
lot of people, they focused on these women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s in Lehigh Valley, not too far from where I live,
Yeah.
and that they in 2016 they got together, and they would get together weekly, and they would have their wine, and they would have their outrage, and they would talk about how they were going to support Planned Parenthood and this and that. And this time around, these women were just like, you know what, we're just going to be good citizens. And I'm like, oh my God, we wore them down. This is great. And in Philly, we were supposed to, we got this little, we wore them down, and we had this communique in my building that was talking about the People's March, and where there were going to be street closures and this and that, and they were going to be marching from City Hall to wherever, or the art museum. And it was a nothing. I mean, they struggled to get photos of, I think maybe there were 180 to 200 people who marched. It was cold, first of all, but I think it was apathy. I think these people are just tired. They ran out of their little pink pussy hats, and they just said, like, you know what? We're resigned to this, and we'll be good citizens, which is basically code for, we give up. He won, and he got the popular vote, and that's it. So, and
Yeah.
what about Rubio getting 99 to 0 being confirmed? That doesn't
Confirmed.
happen. I mean, it is
Right.
Rubio, obviously. He
Right.
was a
But
senator.
still.
People do love him, but 99, not even what's her name, Amy Klobuchar, or Maisie the crazy Hirono voted against him. So
Right.
that's something.
So a couple things. First of all, Bengal Mush says, yes, it's Right Side Broadcasting Network. But Porchview says, Liberty. She thought she saw you at the Liberty Ball. I thought you
Oh,
said
no,
you're at the
no.
Liberty Ball. I could be very confused. Yeah, she was not. No, neither one of
I
us was
was
there.
not there. Some other, glamorous and attractive woman that you mistook me for. Thank you very
That's
much.
right.
Maybe it was Sarah Palin. Maybe Sarah Palin was actually
Maybe,
there.
maybe. Shore says the real reason there were no protesters is Kamala's 20 million in debt and they couldn't afford to pay people to come out this time. Plus, it's cold.
It's cold. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it's cold. It's cold.
cold.
Porchview says crazy people don't do very cold. Ever notice there were no protests below 45 degrees?
Ah,
The left, you know what? See, the other thing is too, is Trump won the 30 under 30 vote. So those people that are out there and they want to go out there, they want to protest, they want to destroy things and things like that, they voted Trump. The majority of them. And the Antifa crowd, they're older now. They're 4 years older. They may actually have jobs. There could be that as well. The other thing though is I think we were not as quiet about our support this time around. The first time we were all kind of closeted. You couldn't
yeah.
say anything because if I wore this hat last time around, I get punched in the face, right? It was everywhere all over Washington, D.C. this time. Nobody was throwing anything at it. Because that's what I said to my husband. I go, do you remember last time when people were walking to these balls and stuff? They were having things thrown at them and they were getting attacked. I don't want to deal with that. So that's one of the reasons we hired a med because he would drop us off at the door.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was felt a little bit safer. None of that. People were walking all over because they closed the roads at all wacky times and everything. You saw people in ball gowns and tuxedos and everything walking in the middle of the street, holding the gown up, like so, and nobody bothered them. There was
Yeah.
just none of that this time around. It was actually fun. And I hate to say use co-op Kamala's word, but it was joyous. There was joy. People were joyful.
It was
You
back
can't.
to the old days with Reagan and
Yes.
when people actually could look beyond your partisan label and say, this is a celebration of our democracy, our republic, our America, and we all belong to this. And I do think that there is a serious they're clinically depressed right now. The left is in tatters, and anything that you read about it, you understand that either they're warring with each other or they're exhausted, and they realized everything they threw, everything they tried, it failed, and Trump is president again. And it's almost like you're throwing rocks at Mount Rushmore, and you realize you're not going to have the impact that you think you're going to have, and so you
Right.
just say, whatever, never mind. Like, what is it? Emily Latella, never mind.
Never mind.
Exactly. I'm really dating myself with that. Oh God, God,
The
God.
Lubners, he had no spine.
Yes, Lisa Lubner, Gilda.
Mr. Lubner, God rest his soul. Um, Star Driver says the DNC didn't have protesters in their budget. They were planning on winning and didn't need protesters. He also said the Antifa crowd got rehired as the pro-Hamas crowd till the money ran out. Beyonce got all of their money, yeah, and Oprah, etc. So, all right, so that was my story. I hated to be long-winded about it, but I wanted to share that with you, and it was just so much fun. And then we left, and then we went to our neighbor's house last night, and we watched him signing all the EOs. And we broke open the Blantons, and we had a little Blantons last night, and we toasted with that because that's so good.
Didn't you have
And
fun watching him do those EOs? That was like a master class in how to entertain people and actually make policy decisions. It was hilarious, the off the cuff back and forth that he was having with people. I love the one the exchange he had with the woman from Colombia. She made some comment about Colombia, and he goes, "What? Why? What about Colombia? Are you from You're from Colombia. That's why you're asking me the question." It was almost like this out of the blue question about Colombia or Venezuela or whatever it was. And he was like, "Why are you asking me this? This is like irrelevant, but okay, I'll go along with it." He was in
yeah,
fine form, regardless of how you feel about the executive orders. And I'm all over the place on these executive orders, but you just have to love the guy for his resilience. He's back there again. And then I think it was Pete Ducey, I forget who it was, who told him, there may be a letter from President Biden
that
on
was
your
Peter.
desk.
It was Peter said, did,
Yeah.
did, did the President Biden leave you anything? Did he leave you a note? And he goes, I don't know. And Peter's
The
like, well,
look
have
on
you
his
looked?
face when he saw it, he goes, "Oh, look at this." You
You
gotta
know,
love the guy. You really do.
what he does, because he's not a politician, is he plays to the public very well because
Yes.
he's a showman, not a politician. And when he was signing the executive orders we were watching, when they had the little parade, I felt so bad for those kids who raised so much money to be able to go to DC, and they just had that little parade. I felt so badly for them. But I loved that. What was it? West Mississippi State Band, the last one that came out. They did a great job. They were
They did.
fantastic. But I felt bad for everybody else because nobody else got the same amount of time that they got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they got a ton of time to play and do their thing, and they were having a great time. But when he was signing the EOs, this is way too tight on my head. It hurts. Whose hat is this? Oh my God. It's it's sat at its tightest thing. God, my husband's trying to kill me. When he was signing the EOs in the Cap Center, and I'm so glad that he did that for them because those people were paid for airlines, paid for hotels to come to the inauguration, and they didn't have it. So they got in the Cap Center. They deserve it, and he gave them a show, and I think that he felt he needed to do that. So he goes, "I'm going to sign some of the executive orders there in front of the people,"
Yeah.
and he signed it. And then, like even the people in the back, he's like, showing it to the people in the back so everybody could see. Read out what this is. You'll go, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like, you know what it is, it's yours.
Well, I mean, after every couple, you go, "Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one."
Yeah.
It's sort of like, "Oh yeah, I like that one. Did I write this one? This is good. Yeah, I like this one."
So I love that he did that at the Cap Center. I thought that was great. And then last night, I was watching today, I saw, did you see him? He cut a cake at the, what was it, the presidential, whatever the ball was, the Liberty Ball.
The Liberty Ball. I
And
didn't see it. No.
okay, so he's cutting the cake with a sword. I guess that's cutting, and he's got this sword, and they're playing YMCA, and he's dancing with the sword. He's going, and he's having a grand old time dancing with the sword, of Melania's clapping. He just looked like he was truly enjoying himself. Like
Can we?
he was having the time of his life.
You mentioned Melania. Can we just say, thank God she is back in off, in the White House. And I love the fact that she wears American designers. A lot of the European guys were, their noses were up in the air.
Right.
Wouldn't feature her on Vogue, Harper's Bazaar. I think we were talking about the different feeling that you have this time around. I think Melania has a different zeitgeist right now. It's almost as if she's saying she's wearing that jacket again. I don't care. Do you? Or whatever it is.
Right.
I really, she was put through so much, and she looked stunning. Talking about heels, lady, she had 5-inch heels too, and she's trotting around in that cold. I
I
think
don't know how she does that.
she's amazing, and I'm really glad that she's our first lady again. I mean, she's brought style back into the White House. And I love her designers as opposed to Jill Biden, who basically used her upholsterer.
Yeah, she had I'll never forget the one dress she had looked like my grandmother's sofa. I was
All of
like,
her
I
dresses
think my
look like
grandmother had a
your grandmother's
sofa like
sofa.
that. Yeah. So the other thing that they did, I thought was really interesting. They only went to 3 balls, and at one of them, JD Vance and Usha Vance were with them, and they're dancing, and then they stop, and 4 service men and women come up. So 2 men and 2 women, and the president and JD Vance dance with the female soldiers,
Ooh, I didn't see
and
that.
Melania and Usha danced with the 2 males, and the 2 men were the one who walked them in when they went into the swearing in ceremony. So I thought that was really cool that they danced with them. I really liked that. I
And
thought
I
that was cool.
loved I loved seeing JD Vance and Usha. I mean, they're the future, and they're young,
Yes.
and that is the face of America. You've got this great kid with an amazing story from Appalachia. I mean, from literally
Yep.
nothing, and Mama is in heaven smiling down. And then you have Usha, who had a completely different background. She's first generation South Asian, brilliant woman from Yale, loves her husband. Every time you saw her, the pictures of her, that was true devotion. And you don't see, when the last time I saw that, Mary, I know you know what I'm about to say. A woman looking at her husband that way in Washington, D.C. Maybe your guys in the messaging would know exactly. Her name began with N. Your friend's mama, or your friend's stepmama, Nancy Reagan. The way that she
Okay.
used to look. I Usha had that same look when she was
Yeah.
looking at JD. And I haven't seen Melania look at Trump that way. I haven't seen, I never saw Laura look at Bush that way. Michelle never looked at, she was an equal. There wasn't adoration there. It just, to me, it's really quite moving because it shows that
Yeah.
there's real love in that relationship.
I loved the kids. I'm sorry. I thought the kids were great. See, and the left was so mean. That kid had like 4 band-aids on her fingers. What are they doing to this? Because the kids like to wear them as stickers. They had like cartoon people. Who cares if the kid wants to, if it's shut her up to get her to be quiet during the thing? Who cares? I don't have kids, and I'm like, so what? But they
The
have to
story
find something to pick at.
story's going to come out in People magazine that he's from Appalachia and he broke his kid's fingers, and then it's like they will take any possible angle to just sort of pull down these people. And you showed it, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. There was joy there, and people were
Yep.
happy. And joy in the right sense, not fabricated joy from,
Exactly.
Kamala, which was plastic, inauthentic joy. This was real
Yes.
joy from deep, deep down. Wasn't
Yes. It
Tim
was
Waltz, I'm a weird man from Minnesota kind of joy either.
with
It was,
jazz hands.
thank God. Thank God that man is gone. Oh my God. He was so
With the
weird.
high kicks. He had the high kicks going on.
Oh God.
Oh my God. All right, let me just get to some of these comments. So people did not go out into the streets to protest. Excuse me. Oh, I'm still tired because they were afraid to fall on the ice from all the liberal tears shed. Sue says, so true, Mango. Wish Trump supporters would have been there if it was outside. That's very true. Shore Essentials, did you see the video of the 20 or so people in San Francisco going to the top of a hill to have a primal scream? They've been reduced to that. I am laughing my ass off.
I thought that was Gavin Newsom and his family.
Biden left a letter for Trump. It was written in crayon. Now Tax USA says, I was at the deplorable ball in West Virginia. It was great. At the Walmart deplorable ball in West Virginia. It was great. Everyone was wearing the same old evening, or should I say morning pajama wear, very fashionable. I think Steve Bannon was there. I have to tell you, that is hilarious, and I would go to something like that.
I was going to say they should have done that. That is fabulous.
Great. I love that.
I do too.
Sue saw those people screaming at the sky. Melania is back to kick ass and take names. Yeah, you know what? People were saying, "Oh, look at her! Like that hat that she had on, for the inauguration, that black hat. You know what was blue? It was all navy. They're like, why is she wearing black? It's not a funeral. I'm like, dummy, it's navy. And she had that jacket, and she had the jacket with the hat. You know, the round hat with the white. And I thought it was stunning when she first walked out. I was like, oh my gosh. And you couldn't see her eyes. And I thought that was very telling. And she had to ride in that car with Jill Biden, whose husband unleashed the federal government to rifle through her underwear drawer. She hates these people with good reason. Good reason to hate these people. And I thought that had to be the most uncomfortable ride with Jill Biden and Melania, more uncomfortable than Joe and Don, because Donald Trump doesn't care. And President Pudding Pants didn't know where he was anyway. So, but Jill and Melania, I would have paid to see the video from inside that car. I would pay to hear that.
You know, if you wait long enough, the stars align for you. So back in 2021, when Melania and Trump sort of basically had to give it over to Joe and Jill, honey, Sofa Diva. It must have been very, very difficult for her as well as for her husband, because she saw what was happening to him.
Right.
And now she's back, and you're absolutely right. She's going to take names. And you know what? I hope she does, because I was about to say I'm not a vengeful person, which is not true. I am a very vengeful person, but I try and be vengeful strategically. I'm not just like hostile towards everyone. I really pick the people that I dislike, and I make like a pyramid of priorities, and only the ones
and
that
I have charts
truly hate.
Do you have charts and graphs and arrows?
Venn diagrams, Kamala. But I love the idea that Melania is back. They can't do anything to her. It's her last 4 years. And I have a feeling she's going to spend a lot more time in DC than she did, in the first administration, because now she's hip to the whole power kind of equation. And she understands, I think, that she's much more welcome there now than she was 8 years ago.
I think, though, I was listening to someone who said that you're going to see them not spend as much time in DC. They're going to be spending a lot of time at their club in Sterling, Virginia.
Okay.
To get out, because Trump doesn't trust anyone in DC. And he knows he can be
after what he went through the last time.
Of course, I agree. Oh, here's another thing. Did anybody see this? And I'll get to your comments. I don't know if anybody saw this. I just saw it today. So Barron Trump went over and shook Kamala Harris's hand, and then shook Joe Biden's hand. And he leaned over and whispered something in Joe Biden's ear, just said something to him towards his ear. And Joe Biden sits down and goes, And he like had this weird look on his face. And Barron walks away, and then Barron looks back and goes, and I'm like, what? Everybody's like, what did Barron say to Joe? Like, what the hell did Barron say to Joe? I
I
want to know. Like,
well,
I'm going to be president soon and I'm coming after your kids. Like, or something. Like, what did he say?
I don't think. I mean, I don't judge anything by Joe's expressions because I mean, I don't think he knows what's going on anyway. He really is moving into not even the twilight of his years, the deep, dark black hole of his years.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing Barron there. I loved, he went from being this awkward awkward tween, basically adolescent, that they were so mean to, so cruel, all of the
Yes.
commentary. And he looks more like his mother than he does his father, but he does have some definite Trump features.
Got the Trump mouth, the little Trump
that little
mouth. Yeah.
It's like, and the high cheekbones. And I really seriously do think that this kid is going to come into his own in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I loved seeing Ivanka. I loved seeing what's the other one? Tiffany. Lara looked extremely happy. Who was with Don Jr.? Was that his daughter?
Is that the new squeeze? No,
Oh.
that's I don't know if it was the new squeeze or his daughter. I didn't see. I didn't see who was with him.
Kai with
It may be
blonde.
Kai. She was there. She was there. Kai's there, but she's not blonde. Kai's not blonde.
Right.
So, well, here, listen. Let me see if I can share this. Share screen. This one. Okay. Share. See if you can watch that. Watch this and watch the interaction.
I can't see it. It's out of the frame.
Oh, why is that not playing here? That's so weird.
It's like playing at the top, but it's cut off.
Yeah, why is it not playing there? Hold on. Here comes tech support. It's playing here. No, that's an ad that's playing at the top, Christine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, I'm playing the right one. Hold on. Let me try. So let me stop sharing this. Let me present.
Stop screen.
Stop screen. Okay.
Now
hi, tech support.
Share screen. That's the one. This one, right? Or this one?
Try Windows.
This one? Oh, window. This one.
Yeah.
Okay. See if this works. Okay. All right. Let's see if this works. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Watch.
Oh my God.
Thanks, babe.
I did not see that.
Watch this. Watch it. Here it is again. Here it is again. Watch. Now watch the look on Barron's face afterwards.
Whoa. Whoa. By the way, who was the girl who's very much a Trump? She had that long blonde hair. That was not Ivanka. Who was that? Was that one of the grandkids?
I don't know.
The girl behind Joe. I mean, she clearly was a Trump.
Oh, I think that almost looks like Kai. I'm not 100%
then
sure.
Maybe she was the one that he was dancing with in that photo or that video of Eric was with Lara. Obviously Trump was with Melania, Ivanka and Jared, and then Don Jr. and it looked like a blonde woman, but maybe it was his daughter, Kai.
Yeah. Let's see. Gregory says Trump was trying his best to make that one female soldier crack a smile, but she never did until he engaged her in conversation. Mangobush says Melania is pure class. Star says Jill's designer made curtains for hotels in the 1970s.
Oh God, I know.
Suze, yes, Star
Gold.
the stare under that hat. Ouch.
Laser.
Mangobush, I was hoping Trump would plant a big smooch on her while dancing. That would have been a great moment. Oh God, forget it. Could you imagine? Oh, Nancy Reagan. Yes, we were looking for that.
Thank you.
I want to know what Barron said to Biden that made Joe look like he just loaded his Depends. That's the clip we just played.
He just looked like he didn't know where he was. One moment he's smiling, and the next it's like,
Yeah. I think I think Barron told Joe a pardon ain't gonna save his wrinkly butt. He probably told him where to go. Melania was doing a Clint Eastwood tribute. Make my day. I love that.
after all those people, after all they were put through, after all of the
Yes.
cruelty that they had
Yep.
to suffer, I will tell you, I am surprised at how well behaved they were. I honestly, I would have been like the Corleones. I would have taken, I would have taken them out. It would have been at the inaugural. There would have been, the christening at the end of The Godfather 1. I would have done that at the inaugural. I would have taken out all of my enemies. Of course, I would have ended up in Supermax, but I don't care. Would have
Yeah.
felt good.
Well, over on Getter, Messenger says Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. It's a beautiful time to be alive. So I'm not going to go that far, but
No.
I no, but I
Oh,
do. I agree with President Trump, and he said it. He said it several times that he finally said it out loud to everyone. And you've heard he said this before, that when he was spanking the Democrats at the inauguration, remember he gave his speech and he said, like he said, they tried to kill me, and he's talking about Joe and Kamala who were sitting right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right, and Obama,
And
and
Adam
he's
Schiff.
calling them out at Adam Schiff, and he's calling them out to their faces, and he didn't know that Biden had pardoned a whole lot of them yet. He didn't know this shit, right?
Yeah.
And he said,
Preemptive pardons.
but he said that he believed that God spared his life in Butler to use him at a later date to save this country, and now is the time. And I was like, yes, he said it. I was so glad he said it.
I I mean, I'm of two minds on that. I understand that, but Corey Comparatori died. And I
Yes.
always hate when people say things like, oh, his life was spared. Well, what did Corey Comparatori do to have his life be sacrificed? So I don't think his life was
Well,
spared. I think not his life in the assassination. I think that he lived to just to show the resilience that he had. But I mean, if that were my father and he died with that bullet, I would have a problem with that. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that just
yeah. Well, I look at
no.
it this way. Corey's family loves Trump. Corey's family
Yeah, they
has
do.
no problem. They gave him the jacket to use again in that parade
Yep.
to honor him, to lead that parade off. And Trump, I think, feels a great debt of gratitude to the family. I think there's a connection they're going to have forever, because
I hope
Trump
so.
knows that bullet was meant for him.
Right.
So I think there's a certain amount of guilt on his part, a survivor's guilt going on there. But I listen. I personally think that bullet just grazed him for a reason. I don't know. I do. I believe that. Corey Comparatori, God bless him, was never going to be in the position to be able to save the country and change the world the way Donald Trump is doing. Right? I just don't think that. He was a great father. He was raising great kids. But I just think things happen for a reason, and Donald Trump is clearly a changed man since that incident.
I do think
Clearly a
that
changed man.
I absolutely think that he himself underwent an evolution. And I'm very, very grateful that he did survive that assassination attempt. And I think it's ridiculous that the Democrats have kind of glossed over that. I mean, the man, he was impeached twice. Okay, not good. Political attacks. He was prosecuted. Okay, not good, but again, legal. But when you come for someone's life, that that is that hasn't happened since 1963. Well, that's not true. Ronald Reagan. And so I do think that I think that Trump has every right to be able to point out the very, very momentous historic nature of his presidency at this point. It was forged in fire. I do hope, though, that we do find a way to save the country without dividing the country any more than it has to be. And again, I'm hostile. I can be angry at what people did, but at the same time, I don't want to have this America here and that America over there. And I hope and I think that Trump will find the way to do that.
Mhm.
I think he is a more mature, different Donald Trump, and I think he has the character and the ability to do it. Kamala would not have been able to do it. Joe would not have been able to do it. Gavin Newsom would not have been able to do it. And I don't think most of the other Republican primary candidates would have been able to do it. Although, and he wasn't running, I still love Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, I still have a girl crush on him. And I hope that one day I'm going to be able to say President Rubio. El
Yeah, you never
Presidente
know.
Rubio.
All right, let's see. Let's bang through some of these because we're late. Gregory, I was waiting for Melania to throw that hat at someone like Odd Job.
Like a frisbee.
Yeah. Star Driver, the look of Melania. I was just waiting for her to do the John Wick rack the slide on his gun move. Porchview Farm. I thought my husband was going to fall over when she walked out in that outfit. Manglemush says, at least you're honest, Christine.
Always.
Scott, I thought it was cool. I noticed that Melania, she tipped her head forward and in a way to put her hand on her hat to keep the wind. Yes, from the helicopter. And did you see Joe Biden went out in the old Marine one and Donald Trump gets the new Marine one?
Yeah, I know.
I was like, yeah, good for you.
That's absolutely right. I'm glad. Joe's gonna head off to Rehoboth Beach or something and just sort of like fade away.
I think Manglewish nailed it. Barron told Joe, you forgot to pardon yourself.
Ooh. Well, remember that was a question. That was a legal question. Could Trump pardon himself? Could a president pardon himself? And I don't think there was ever a legal determination on that, but I don't see why not. I mean, if the pardon power is almost absolute now, according to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, yeah, and look what he's done. Scott says, "Merry Trumpness to everyone." Let's see. The pardons are for federal charges, not state charges. That's true. You need to have Dick Freitas on your show. No, that is absolutely true. That is for federal charges, not state charges. Speaking of having people on the podcast, if you did not see last week's on Tuesday's podcast, live cast with Mike McCormick, he was Joe Biden's stenographer for like 9 years. It was insane. He laid bare so much stuff. It was crazy. Go back and watch it. It was last week's. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, of course, YouTube as well. It was phenomenal. And he's got a new book coming out as well. So you definitely want to catch that.
Was he the stenographer when he was in the Senate or when he was president?
VP and president.
Oh, wow.
Not all of his years, I think only the first 2 years of his presidency, and then he left. And he did offer to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee, but they never took me up on it, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
And he had no NDA, so he could talk freely. Isn't that crazy, right?
That was an oversight. That was some lawyer's major mistake.
Star Driver says the Democrats have no idea how much it would have been targeted had Trump been assassinated. It would have been horrible.
It's if Trump did that, we're even talking about assassinations in 2020, 24, 25. It's despicable. And the way that the Democrats reacted to it is even more despicable because they brushed it off like Taylor Swift,
And that's how you know they're guilty. That's how you know. Yeah. Thomas Crooks, we don't know. He had bank accounts in foreign countries. We don't know where. The FBI just couldn't manage to get into his phone. But there's been no investigation. I've heard nothing about, no reports. Have any final reports come out? Nothing. No. They cremated his body immediately.
About Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed the healthcare CEO. We knew everything about him within the first 48 hours.
Yep. Manglemush said if Trump did not turn and tilt his head at that exact millisecond, he wouldn't have a head. Dumb luck or divine intervention, call it what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I don't know, I think that because they buried that as quickly as they could, that there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C. who are guilty of sin, which is why I think there were a lot of those mass pardons. Gregory says they flew the Bidens out to California. That's right. They went to California. What a waste. They should have they should have had him take the freaking train back to Delaware. Well, the return trip's on them. So there you go. Just remember, every day till January 20th, 2029, every day will be Trump Day. 2029. Oh yeah,
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 they're going
yeah.
for it.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, 2029. We're heading to 2030.
But Mayor, we're already Mary. We are one quarter into the century, which
Oh
I
my
can't believe
gosh.
because I remember when everybody's talking about Y2K and the millennial, and
Yes.
there's going to be this 25 years ago.
Wow.
That's
Crazy.
and I was an adult. I mean, I was a voting, working adult 25 years ago. That scares me. I could have been a grandmother 25 years ago. Very,
All right,
very
stop
young.
making yourself older than you appear. Stop it. Um, and I'm sorry, I'm playing with my face. I just had a cat on my lap, and I have cat hair all over me. Star Driver says I've been trying to send last week's podcast to everyone. Yeah, definitely. I put the links out. I can do it again, Star Driver. If you need them, just hit me up, DM me on X. That's fine. Uh, Scott said, what I heard, Trump would have to resign as president, have the vice president pardon him, and then take the presidency back. I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea. Bill thinks we're sexier than Melania. Yeah, that's very sweet. But I'm
She
gonna go with a
is. She is. I'm just playing with my slinky while I'm
ah.
looking.
Oh,
See my
you got your
slinky?
slinky.
Yeah, this is calming my nerves. I do
Oh,
my slinky.
good.
Yes, this is very calming.
All right, Suze is out. Everybody's leaving. Manglebush says, woot, 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 everybody from Suze. Corey Shore says, Corey was a saver of lives. He was chosen to take the bullet. Only God knows why. But perhaps because a death was owed that day and Trump was allowed to live. That's a really good point. Corey was a saver of lives,
He was a saver of lives
right?
in his actual. You know, he was a
Right.
firefighter, so
So
he
what was
was
his
a saver
final
of lives.
act? His final act was taking a bullet that the president would have taken and covering his family with his body. I
That's
mean,
what he did.
doesn't that
That's.
sum up his whole life?
I mean, that is a
Right?
selfless. That is a selfless life. I hope they name. I mean, I don't know. Butler needs to do something to really honor him, and I do agree with you, Mary, that Trump is incredibly moved by this man's story. Very close to the family. They do love him, and I understand that appreciation that he has. I really, you see it when I don't remember where it was, but this weekend when they were marching in and they were holding the I guess the jacket that he
Yeah,
wore
that
with
was
his
the
name.
parade that was supposed to be outside, and it was instead inside, and they led that off with for all the firefighters at Butler, firefighters, rescue workers at for Butler, Pennsylvania.
And you
Yeah,
saw Trump's face, and it looked as if he was in pain. I mean, you know, they had a freeze frame of it, and he looked like he was in pain, and I think that was
yeah,
genuine. So you know, as far as I think Trump is a good man, I really do, and I think that he is a caring man, and I think that people who know him personally would attest to that. And I know someone who knows him personally and says exactly that. And I think that he's going to get an opportunity to basically show that to the rest of the country, because I also think the media has changed. There's been a bit of a sea change with the media, you know, with the
yeah.
Mika and the Joes and the MSNBC, the president and CEO steps down. There's been a lot of changing around with the media. And I do think that it's going to open the door for some more fair, unbiased reporting.
Mhm. They have to. Mango Bush says that is a deep take, Shore Essentials. I think, yeah, I think I love that take. Thank you so much for that. So, okay, we're out. Next week on the podcast, I have a gentleman coming on, if it all works out, who proudly was red pilled for the this past election, and he's very vocal about it. So he's going to come out. Speaking of that, Brandon Straka was at the
Oh,
event, and yeah, and so that was Sunday night, and he got pardoned the next night.
whoa. Also,
Yep, he was there too.
speaking of pardons, I do hope, and I think he will, because he's already started doing this. Trump just pardoned one of the pro life activists, very peaceful pro life activist who was
Yes,
spending months in federal prison. And I'm asking him, and we're all asking him, the St. Thomas More Society, to please pardon the other 20 pro life activists who are spending. They're in jail. They're in federal
yep.
prison for protesting. And I know he's going to do it. I know he's going to do it. I trust him.
Well, that woman, the black woman, Michelle, or what's her name?
Beverlyn,
Because
Beverlyn,
Beverlyn, yes. I saw her husband posted on X because I follow her. Her husband posted on X. I'm on my way to pick up my bevy. And because she was being pardoned, as well, she should have been pardoned. It was ridiculous what they did to
absolutely.
those pro-life protesters who were praying out, the sin of praying outside of an abortion clinic. That
And
was their
Mary,
sin.
karma, because, and okay, call me a witch, call me evil, but the same day that Trump pardoned Beverlyn, Cecile Richards died. And
Oh, that's right.
I listen, she had glioblastoma, the same thing that took John McCain.
Oh,
It's
that takes you
horrible.
in
My
6
father
months. Yeah,
died
it's
of
terrible.
cancer.
Yep.
But you know what? There is, all of these tributes to Cecile Richards. No, the woman caused so much harm to families and society. And there is some karma there with a pro-life activist being pardoned on the same day that Cecile Richards meets her maker.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Star Driver says, great show, Thelma and Louise. Oreo wants to know if we can talk about slinkies. He says, hit that like button, please hit the like button. Mango Mush says, stay on top side of the soil, everyone. Just FYI, I'm in for David Webb on Thursday from 9 a.m. to noon. And then hopefully I'll be back in on Monday with Chris Salcedo. We get back into the regular schedule on Newsmax TV. Chris Salcedo show sometime between 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then Tuesday, we're back here. Thank you so much for coming on again. I know wanted to do the first show of the season with you, and then I gave you the choice of pre-inaugural or post, but you were sick, but you sound so much better now. So
I
doing the
love you.
post-inaugural.
I love your people.
Love you too, honey.
I feel that we are close to greatness because we are all in the Mary circle. So,
I was going to say, I think we're close to greatness just because look at the group of people we have, right? Look at all of our friends who come every single week, who join the club, and we get new people coming in and out, which is great.
Yeah.
But there's just a group of us. And I almost feel like when I win the lottery, I want to have a party and we could all come, right? Like, and have a party. Like, I would love to do something like that when I win the lottery. I got to play the lottery though, because I never win anything. So
I do scratch offs. That's about my speed. Anyway,
I get like $2.
Love you. Love to all of you.
Bye, honey.
See you soon.
All right. Bye, honey. Take care. Love
Bye,
you.
honey,
Bye,
you
guys.
too.
Bye, everybody. Miss you. And I'll miss you till next week. Bye, Christine. Thank you. And hopefully I will see you soon right here, back here. And also on the David Webb Show and on Chris Salcedo Show. Have a blessed week. Take care of yourselves. Okay. Bye.